Recently, I've been working a lot of long days. Yesterday was no exception. I was so tired when I got home last night, I was out like a light. Then, this morning, one of my buddies asked me if I wanted to do some freelance work for him. I appreciate the offer, but right now, I need more work to do like I need a hole in my head.
Welcome to another Happy English podcast coming to you from New York City. And here's your English teacher, Michael.
All right, thank you, John, and thanks, everyone. It's Michael here from Happy English, and I help people speak English better. And this is Happy English Podcast, episode 810, 7 phrases with like. The word like helps us compare things, right? And for today's English lesson, we're going to look at some colorful idioms with like. Let's start off with a veggie, and not exactly one of my favorites, green peas. You know that little case that peas and edamame come in? That's called a pod. And if you open a pod, pretty much the peas inside look alike, don't they? 2 peas in a pod. With this image, you can use the phrase like 2 peas in a pod when you talk about 2 people who are very similar or really close, kind of like best friends who are always together. Like, Sarah and Jane are like 2 peas in a pod. They like the same food, the same fashion, and the same music. Sounds like the ultimate friendship, right? They are like 2 peas in a pod. You can't get any closer than that. Now, what about you? Do you have a friend who's like 2 peas in a pod with you? It's always fun when you have someone who just gets you. The next one is all about electricity. When you switch off a light, it goes right out. Well, with this image, you can say that someone is out like a light, which means they fall asleep pretty quickly. Like, once your head hits the pillow, you're gone. When Frank came home after the party last night, he was out like a light. That's a quick way to fall asleep. I bet we've all had nights where we were so tired we were out like a light the moment we laid down, right? I know I've had those nights. How about you? Have you ever been out like a light after a long day? The next phrase with like is to be built like a tank. A tank is pretty strong, and we use to be built like a tank when we're describing someone who's really strong or muscular, like they could handle anything. My buddy Ed is built like a tank, probably because he hits the gym 4 times a week. Maybe you've got someone in your life who's built like a tank, whether it's from working out or just having natural strength. Can you think of anyone who fits that description? We also use this idiom to talk about strong things, like I still use my grandfather's desk. That thing is built like a tank. You probably have something in your house that's built like a tank, don't you? Next, let's talk about eating and drinking. You can drink like a fish or eat like a horse. Either way you do it, it's a bit excessive. Let's start off with eating. And about eating, one animal that has a huge appetite is a horse. Boy, they eat a lot, don't they? Well, when someone eats like a horse, they can eat a lot of food at one meal. Like my friend Sarah eats like a horse at every meal. I don't know how she stays so fit with the amount of food she eats. Does anyone in your life eat like a horse? It's always funny to watch someone eat so much and yet they never seem to get full. I think we all have that one friend who can out-eat everyone at the table. And now, let's move on to drinking. A fish spends a lot of its time drinking, or at least bringing water into its mouth. With this image, we say that someone drinks like a fish, which means that we're talking about someone who drinks a lot, especially when it comes to alcohol. Like, Donna drinks like a fish, especially on Friday nights. You can always count on her to get the party started. Hey, we all have that one friend who's always the life of the party, right? Maybe they drink like a fish, but they know how to keep things fun, right? And speaking of fish, can you imagine how a fish feels when one of us humans takes it out of the water? That must be super uncomfortable. Well, with this image, you can be like a fish out of water, which is a perfect way to describe someone who feels uncomfortable or out of place in a situation, especially when it's a new situation. Like when I went to the football game with my buddy Paul, I totally felt like a fish out of water. It was my first time to see a football game live, and in fact, I don't even know the rules. Yeah, I felt like a fish out of water. I'm sure we've all been there at one point or another, right? Being at an unfamiliar event or a new job can make you feel like a fish out of water. It's tough at first, but you get the hang of things, right? The last phrase for today is, I need that like I need a hole in my head. A hole in your head? Nobody needs one of those for sure. So this idiom is a funny way to say that you really don't need something. It's like, I don't need that at all. Like, during a meeting last week, they kept serving coffee, and at one point, I had to politely refuse. I mean, I drank so much already that I needed more caffeine, like I needed a hole in my head. In other words, I didn't need more caffeine at all. All right, there you go. We've covered some really fun idioms today. Whether you're talking about being two peas in a pod, feeling like a fish out of water, or joking about needing something like a hole in your head, these idioms will help you sound even more natural in your English conversations. And keep in mind, the best way to remember English like this, and any other word or phrase in English, is to take that word or phrase, write it in a sentence that's true for you or true in your world, and then memorize your sentences. And did you know? You can get more practice using your English when you join my Podcast Learners Study Group. There, you can make new friends. Join us for live group lessons every week where we practice these podcast lessons together. Plus, you get access to the PDF transcript and audio download for every Happy English podcast in the past and in the future. And on top of that, each episode has exercises where you can practice this English point with speaking and writing checked by me. To learn more, just visit myhappyenglish.com and choose podcast lesson 810. Remember, learning another language is not easy, but it's not impossible, and I'm here to help you on your journey.
This podcast was brought to you by Happy English. Please visit myhappyenglish.com. Show your support for Happy English by leaving us a review. Get English, get happy, Happy English.